So look, this whole situation with Uncle Nearest in this lawsuit, this stuff just keeps getting messier and messier. So, just a few days ago, I did a video on Uncle Nearest filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And I'll let you guys know that this was probably a play so that Fawn Weaver and the management team over at Uncle Nearest can buy themselves a little bit more time because the receivership was kind of going rogue. He's trying to extend his reach into other entities Fawn Weaver and her husband own. He's trying to sell property, etc. Like, if you were to read these testimonies and things, it's really crazy because what it really is coming to and looking like is that the receivership is doing more damage than he is actually helping. But that's going to be a whole totally different conversation. There's going to be a conversation about the dismissal and why the court dismissed it in the first place. And it's not a really difficult thing to understand. She was not even they weren't supposed to apply for the bankruptcy in the first place because it's under receivership. So they weren't supposed to apply. But get this correct in regards to like court and systems sometimes. So there are laws that are in place, and sometimes lawyers will do things that they know they're technically not supposed to do, but sometimes it'll work. So, as my husband liked to say, lawyers like to operate in the gray area. So, where we think a lot of things are black and white, and it's like, you can't do this, you can't do this, a really good lawyer is going to see what is that gray area I can kind of operate in. Is there some form of plausible deniability I can have in this situation? And that's what makes a really good lawyer. Same way I could say with Fawn in regards to her ability to run this company. I know some people have questioned her fitness, her qualifications, but let's be real. She's the one who built this company into being what it is today. So to question that is kind of crazy. The only reason why you care about Uncle Nearest is because of Fawn Weaver. Let's be real. So we have a great CEO, and she has a great lawyer team behind her. They're operating in that gray area so well. Some of you think they don't even know what they're doing. Roll a clip.
I gave you a moment to read that because we're in the twilight zone. The attorney for Fawn and the bankruptcy court filed this in the receivership court, a suggestion of bankruptcy. As you can see in that top line, it says comes Uncle Nearest Incorporated, Nearest Green Distillery, and Uncle Nearest Real Estate Holdings by counsel filing the suggestion of bankruptcy. It's Kelly Holmes. Kelly is not the counsel for those entities. She can't file shit. I'm not a lawyer and I know this. Why does she know this? She went to law school. I don't understand how she is hiring these people and they don't know the basics. But hey, let the judge rule on it now that it's in front of him. And then you filed this after you already filed. Girl, bye.
This person insinuates, she's like, I'm not even a lawyer, but I know you're not supposed to do that. We all know you're not supposed to do that. The lawyer knows you're not supposed to do that. What I find interesting is, so when they went to court and they asked her why she filed for the Chapter 11, knowing good and well she was not supposed to, what she said is, there was nothing in the court order that stated I could not do this, that we could not file for Chapter 11. And the judge is like, ma'am, on page blah, 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 it tells you you can't do this. Oh, there goes that plausible deniability, that gray area. I can't, as a lawyer, she can't get in trouble unless you prove she did something she knowingly went against the law. In her defense, she didn't knowingly go against the law because she didn't know it was in there. Plausible deniability. Prove I didn't know. That makes a good lawyer. So when you say, am I in the twilight zone? What's going on here? I get it. We're content creators, so we say things to spark curiosity. But I just think it's an interesting angle to use, that you think that the lawyer is incompetent instead of that the lawyer is operating within a gray area. I just find that very interesting as a way to approach the content. And this is where I've been really wrestling with a lot of things that been going on as I watch social media, as I read the court hearings. I'm not really understanding where a lot of these narratives are coming from. And I know for a fact that there's not that many people who are stupid. I'm sorry, let me use another word. I know that reading comprehension cannot be that low. Like, for instance, there is a rumor going around that there was a misuse of funds in order to purchase a house in Martha Vineyard.
Ask you a question. You loaned me $120 million to run my company along with $20 million from Daliance's husband. And I take some of that money and buy houses and buy property that don't belong with Uncle Near, with my company and all that kind of stuff. You gonna be all right with that?
I find that extremely interesting when, quite literally, in the complaint filed by the lender, they state how they gave money specifically to purchase this Martha Vineyard house. It literally was called MV Loan, Martha Vineyard's loan. How do you misuse funds to buy a house that you gave the funds to buy the house? They didn't. There was no misuse of funds. That is people's interpretation of what they're reading. That's why it's so important here. That's why I try to make sure everything I discuss, I don't just analyze it for you guys, but I actually provide the actual documentation so that you can read it yourself. Don't just trust my analysis. I want you to actually read it yourself for comprehension and come back and have a conversation with me. Let's have a conversation in these comments. If you like videos like this, you most certainly are going to like this one. And until next time, stay beautiful, stay blessed, stay black. This is Jade, and you're watching Get Into the Black. Bye-bye.